Collinsworth, I just tried to catch up as much as I possibly could during the break. What are your thoughts on everything?
I was asking you honestly. I read something before I got on the show. Like he put an apology out because he said something about some Pittsburgh fans. What did he do during the game?
Yeah, I don't know if it was what he said or how he said it. I listened to the clip, and I don't know. The clip is only just the exact quote that he made. It wasn't before or afterwards. So I don't know the lead in, and I don't know what happened afterwards just by the clip that I watched. So I want to preface it with this. But he basically said something along the lines of like Steeler. It felt like what the lead in was Pittsburgh is a football town, which it is. And we weren't listening to the game, only watching it here yesterday. So I didn't even know that this happened or whatever. And he basically stated that he was alarmed by the fact, it seemed like that's kind of how he delivered it, that he was alarmed by the fact that it came off almost as, you could see how people could take it as him saying, like, even women were asking me specific questions about the football thing. You know what I mean? So you could see how they're like, for instance, at this point in time in 2020, I think the NFL is even at a point where they're yeah, we have a lot of women fans. Like, we have a lot of diehard fans. So I think that was kind of the takeaway, was that, like, there's no reason for you to be surprised by the fact that we have women fans, especially in any city, that are asking specific questions about teams. So once he found out about it, he put out an apology. And Zito, I think we have the apology. Once he found out about the response that was coming for what he said, he put out an apology in his notes section. Classic. Didn't edit the photo out at all. Just kept the December 2nd, 2020 at 11:14 p.m. in the notes section at the top. Today on our broadcast, I made reference to a couple of women that I met in Pittsburgh who so impressed me with their football knowledge that I wanted to tell their story on the air. I know the way I phrased it insulted many. I'm sorry. What I intended as a compliment to the fans of Pittsburgh became an insult. I'm sick about insulting any fan, but especially female fans and journalists. I know firsthand how much harder they have to work than any of us in this industry. I was wrong, and I deeply apologize. Now, that last sentence there, 100% true, right? It is very hard to crack into football, and it has been for a long time as a female, because the statement is always like, well, if you didn't play or blah, 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 kind of like the old boys club. But I think in 2020, that narrative is a much different one. So I'm not 100% sure. And just like he said, the way he phrased it, I'm not 100% sure if he delivered that in a fashion that he was meaning, it sounds like. But it was taken a certain way and offended a lot of people and pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, so I guess he thought he was giving the women of Pittsburgh a compliment, saying like they have so much football knowledge, but I guess it came across that he's saying like, oh, even the ladies know what football is. Is that what people are up?
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's the delivery, I guess, is what people were upset about. And, you know, I got a chance last year to work alongside Molly McGrath, you know?
Yeah.
And Molly McGrath, whenever you start talking about, she like created a journalism school at Boston College to like get in because how much she loved like football and all this. Like, you don't, as somebody who, you know, had no desire of getting into the football journalism world or broadcast world, like that's not something I would ever known. But I believe the path that a lot of, you know, super football nerd women that we have is a very difficult one to potentially get into the presentation of games. So whenever he says something along that side about how alarmed he is, it almost pushes the narrative that they almost don't know, as you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a pretty complex thing for the entire thing. And I could see how people got offended because they did get offended. But I don't think now granted, I don't know Cris Collinsworth that well. I don't know. I know that Pro Football Focus is the company he created over there is, you know, obviously a successful one, and it does a lot for football. And I don't think he's a bad commentator on the game, covering the game. And I don't know his intention at heart, but I assume that he did not mean to offend anybody. But the way he delivered it, I assume a lot of people thought like, well, you're kind of fucking us up and setting us back a little bit. You shouldn't do that. So I don't know, but I will say, Pittsburgh is a football town, man. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh is a football town. And Cordell Stewart, we talked to him earlier. He said, Pittsburgh will tell you suck.
I'll let you know.
It does not matter if you are a woman or a man. You know a guy sucks at football. So just a situation that pops up in the world that we're in. And I assume he'll learn from that, by the way. I hope he does. I hope we all do.
He seems like he was horrified, like at the response, and like he didn't. It came out, I guess, he didn't mean it that way at all. But, hey, man, yeah, I don't know. The note section typed up apology is just classic, though. Really
Yeah,
is.
but I mean, you can edit that photo though. You know how to screenshot it. Way to go. Okay, let's just go ahead and drop that down. So then it's, you know what I mean, like that. Obviously. When Mina was on our show, Mina Kimes, she's one of the hosts of NFL Live, like one of the voices of the NFL on ESPN.
Yeah.
I asked her about that, the reaction, and I saw some comments that were being said to her, And now, granted, it's not just like I get bashed by people too whenever I'm talking about things, but the things that are said towards women in sports and in football are just, I mean, they are. There's some terrible trolls out there.
Ruthless.
Ruthless, bad things. In Mina, whenever I learn whenever she's talking, I completely learn whenever, and I think she's great for the game. And I'm happy that she didn't get like scared away by assholes saying things. You know what I mean? And I assume at some point here in the next few years, or hopefully, that won't be a thing anymore.